G'day guys, welcome back to another FPL video with Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Game week 15 has just finished this morning. Excuse me, I haven't made a video for I think a week or two, or about a game week or two. I think the last one I made was game week 13. So, been a bit on. Actually missed the deadline for game week 15. Funnily enough, I was out and about, came home and just fell asleep. Was completely knackered and with no early game. On the weekend, there wasn't that sort of early kickoff. I think the deadline was like 12:30 or something, and apparently chaos ensued. The servers went down, and I missed all that, and I probably wouldn't have even got my transfers off either, because apparently it happened about half an hour before or something like that. So I think when the City team got leaked, Alvarez was starting. Obviously, Haaland and Foden both weren't. They're on the bench. I think everyone went into panic mode from what I can see and what I heard. But funnily enough, I kept the captaincy on Haaland. He came on, got that late penalty. Very luckily, I saw a few people had the C on Cancelo, which was a bit unfortunate. But it's just been one of those seasons for me. And I don't know if you've followed me or seen long enough how well I did last year. It's just been total polar opposite this year. And look, fantasy and all types of games that we play, you do need a lot of luck to do well, of course. But I don't think I've got barely an ounce of it this season. And look, I did miss the deadline. And funnily enough, if I did the transfers I was going to, which I think would have been getting Rashford in for either, probably Sinistera on the bench, probably would have ended up benching Andreas. I know Mitro, look, I did get a bit of luck there finally, a little bit, with Mitrovic not playing and actually getting a 6-pointer from Andreas, because every time I've put him on, I haven't got any points from him. They've always been on the bench, like probably most of us, but if I did the transfers I was going to do, I think I would have definitely been worse off for points. So that's just the funny game that it is. And one of the big boys that for me this week that I did leave on was Gabriel with a 15-pointer with that goal, clean sheet. 3 bonus in that massive win for the Arsenal, 1-0 away to Chelsea, which I've just been caught up in honestly watching. Like, I've always watched Arsenal for about 15 years, but you fall in and out of love with a team like Arsenal that have been pretty poor for a long time. But probably the last 2-3 seasons now, sort of under Mikel Arteta's reign, I've barely missed a game. I think the COVID year, I didn't watch a hell of a lot of just football in general. A bit of a different year for a lot of us. But, that year, Bukayo Saka sort of broke into the first team, and I was really sort of just following his journey. But as a team now and sort of seeing what Mikel's been able to do this season, I just don't know how, but nothing has really gone wrong besides that loss away to United. And I think there's only been 2 losses we've had in the whole season, all competitions, which is just ridiculous. Top of the league still, in one game to go before the World Cup, of course, which let me know if you do want to see some content for that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do at least a couple of videos for that. That should be very interesting and a bit of fun. But Arsenal, unbelievable. Can't really say much more. Just the vibe around the team. You see all the young guys, and that's the thing. They are really young and all sort of around that sort of 20 to 24 year old mark, besides obviously like your Xhakas and stuff, but it's just been ridiculous. Gabriel himself has been really good defensively for a couple of years now. He was pretty pivotal for us last season, but Saliba, I just don't know what the hell that kid is on. He's only 21 and doing what he's doing, and I thought for me, Thomas Partey was man of the match last night for sure. He just bossed that midfield and Chelsea all game. It was quite ridiculous, but I'll move on from that. Not everyone is here wants to listen to that, but Cancelo, obviously caught the highlights of that. Missed pretty much every game that night. It's a soft red, but it is a red when you're last man in the box. Like, same, if that exactly the same foul happened, but there was 3 of his other defenders behind him, between him and Edison, it wouldn't have been a red. Obviously, it would have been a penalty and a yellow. But the fact that he was the last man denied a clear goal scoring opportunity. It was obviously a red card. And funny thing and weird thing that is, he doesn't miss a Premier League game. As far as I'm aware, he missed can serve the suspension in the Carabao Cup, which is midweek for a lot of the clubs. I know Arsenal, we've got Brighton, I think, midweek. So, apparently he can serve it then and then play in the Premier League again the last game before the World Cup. So, probably most will hold on to him. I'll talk about whether I will or not, but I'll get into that in a sec. Lewis Dunk I had to play this week. Funnily, I think if I was doing my trades, I would have. It was like a toss-up if I got Rashi for Sinistera on who to bench. Obviously, look, if this City thing come up, who knows what I would have done? I actually don't know. So, but my initial plans were to sort of get Rashford in for Sinistera because he was injured and unfortunately wasn't going to play in that Bournemouth game, which old Somerville's come in, got a winner against Liverpool, now winner against Bournemouth, which is unbelievable. So he sort of played that similar role to Sinistera, but unfortunately that pick didn't work for me. And I was going to bench either Gabriel or Dunk, and I hadn't had my mind made up at that point. And look, Andreas would have Mitrovic would have obviously not played, and then I probably would have got Gabriel's score anyway. But look, Dunk with the 1-pointer. They've actually got really good defense. Looking at statistics, it's top 4 or 5 in the league as far as XG conceded. So look, they don't tend to perform well in accordance to all the stats, offensively and defensively. But I think Brighton are still a team we want to look at post the World Cup. Trippier, this dude's ridiculous. Point machine. There's nothing else to be said. Every time his team concedes, he's come off 5 minutes before it. But just his attacking threat as well. Got another assist. So ridiculous, and someone that he's going to be locked into my team after the World Cup. Fingers crossed he has a healthy World Cup himself. Mo Salah, really happy. I was toying during the week to go to KDB initially, and obviously that wouldn't have happened in the end. It would have been through, I think many people did it through Haaland and Foden, sort of making the switch to KDB and Alvarez, who obviously came out with more points than those two. But Salah initially was my thought to go to KDB and maybe ditch Foden to someone else, but I swiftly moved off that. I thought Spurs, they tend to do pretty well against Liverpool, and then they've got obviously Southampton at home next week, who I've sort of started to see Mo's form turn a bit, and I think he's going to be pivotal and a really good option for the last game week before the World Cup. Phil, I don't know what is going on here, my man. I started him, obviously. I've had him pretty much all last season as well, and had to get Haaland in because of my stupidity, game week 7 or 8, I can't remember, and transferred Phil out for when he's got his massive hat-trick against United, and then I think he scored and assisted the week after and got about 30 points in 2 game weeks that I didn't have him. And then obviously a lot of people were turned on to that, of course, and he's 4 million cheaper than De Bruyne, and then after their blank, we all got him in, and it's just been bench after bench, and I really cannot explain why. He's one of their, and look, it's hard to say, one of their most important players or best players when it's a team like City, but I just feel like the form he was getting himself into, I'm not sure what's happened and why he isn't getting as many minutes anymore, because it's sort of not even at the it's not like Mahrez is coming in and grabbing more minutes. It's like Grealish is getting a bit more, but even Bernardo Silva's playing in the front three a little bit. I don't know. I can't explain it. Maybe he's sort of, I don't know. I can't really say managers are resting players before the World Cup because it's not like they really care too much. And then of course they do to an extent. Of course, it's their player. They want to have him back, obviously fit and healthy after the World Cup. So maybe they are taking that into account. But anyway, I don't know what's going on. I'm probably going to keep Phil again for the last game week. Hope he doesn't play in the cup game midweek, but he probably will. So I don't know. Martinelli I thought was really lively, but just didn't come away with any points. Could have had an assist if Jesus finished off one of his balls. Firmino just hasn't worked for me. I think obviously Darwin probably was the better choice over the last 2 or 3 weeks, even though he hasn't gone massive either. But Firmino hasn't got a return, I don't think, for me at all. And then Mitro just dealing with that injury, who was someone I was probably going to transfer out, and I think I still will this week because they do have United, but I still think he can score against them. But we'll talk about that in a sec as well. And then obviously Haaland, as I said at the start, left the captaincy on him and got a very lucky pen at the end. So we'll take that. And then he got a yellow card for taking his shirt off. All right, so looking at my team for this week, what I've got here really to look at is probably a transfer of Sinistera and Mitrovic. I don't have any cash in the bank, unfortunately, but I do have 2 free transfers as I conveniently didn't use mine last week or use one. So someone I've looked at early and obviously just having the game gone overnight is Kulusevski. Looks to be back fit, obviously came off the bench and got an assist for the Kane goal. Son's out, Richarlison's going to be out. Those guys won't feature and may not even at the World Cup. So Kulusevski should start. I would assume in the last game they got Leeds at home, which is a really appealing fixture to me. Problem is I need 1.5 million to make this move. Now, someone I've also sort of looked at is Perisic himself. He did play up top next to Kane as well at the start of that match, and then I think once Kulu came off, I think it was for Royale, they sort of moved back to the front three, and it could be a bit of an upside pick. Both of them having leads and playing, in the front three, just behind Harry Kane, could be something I'm looking at, and that leaves me 0.2 in the bank to either just not make a move, probably bench Mitrovic, have him as a nice backup there, or I could play him ahead of Gabriel or probably Dunk again. I think I'll back in the Arsenal to keep it clean against Wolves, who just really haven't scored any goals at all this season, and maybe bench Dunk. Villa, I know it's at home, which I do like, but Villa, under Unai Emery, got their first win on the board and scored a few goals just overnight as well, so maybe do that. Play Mitro at home to United, or maybe I just play Dunk instead and I'll make a call on that. Or I can obviously take a -4 and make another transfer, whether that's going another defender, maybe swapping the goalkeeper like Pope, who I don't really think I need to. Chelsea, to me, looked really poor and not threatening at all last night. And Newcastle at home have also got one of the best defences and have performed really well thus far this season. So that's maybe what I'm early thinking. I know it's getting in two Spurs players, and I just think that's one of the best fixtures I look at this week. Leeds do concede quite a bit. Perisic, obviously, it's the upside if he's playing out of position up front. I'm not totally expecting a clean sheet, but Spurs do play pretty defensively at home. Leeds can score a goal, but I just still like Perisic even just to get an attacking return if he's playing in that position. It's a big time upside thing, and if he gets an attacking return and a clean sheet, he's probably locked into some bonus as well. As you see with Gabriel and then Trippier almost every week. So if I scroll down quickly just to look at this line of fixtures, I don't know. I think Liverpool not too bad to get. Darwin would be one I'd like to have, but I'll just keep Bobby and hope he starts in the last game, and hope I can get a return out of him. Obviously, City at home to Brentford. I'll keep Phil, and maybe we'll see what happens midweek, but hope he starts finally. And other than that, I don't mind Spurs at home to Leeds either, and you go Arsenal against Wolves away, but I'm just sort of looking at some home fixtures to finish off before the break, and I really like those as well. So they're probably the ones I'm looking at. Let me know what you're thinking for transfers this week. If you want to see some World Cup content as well, let me know. I've that's open, so I will definitely be playing that myself. Whether or not I make a lot of videos on it, I might. It's going to be pretty short and sharp because the World Cup is sort of crammed in there in the middle of the season. So I think it's only across 3 weeks and we'll be over pretty quickly. But really looking forward to it. So let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Cheers.
Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like pulling out the coupe at the lot.